Welcome to the Long Range Pursuit Podcast, presented by Gunwerks, where we learn about and share long-range shooting techniques, science, and gear.
Okay, welcome to this week's Long Range Pursuit Podcast. We got Mitch here and myself, Derek. We're going to be going over how we prep for hunting, basically. It's bear season now. I think, are you hunting bears right now?
Yes, sir.
I'm skipping this year, but hunting is in the air. So we're going to go over how we prep for hunting.
Perfect. Sweet. Well, I think it's cool because we both sit in two different places, I would say, on how we would prep for hunt.
For sure. Totally. We're going to get two completely different sides.
Yeah. So I think it'll apply to whoever's listening, right? And kind of fit them or take a little bit from each side and put it together. So no, I'm excited about it.
Well, Mitch, before we get into it, give me a little bit about yourself, what you do at the company, and the type of hunting you do, I guess.
Sweet. Awesome. So I'm one of our client advisors. I guess I'm helping a guy from start to finish, if you will, right? Somebody calls in or run into them at a trade show or whatever it may be, from helping them get a rifle selected or gear, questions, training, you name it, right? So, and kind of my background. So I'll start way back. Obviously grew up hunting, got into long range early, which I'm not terribly much older than you, but still I was in the long range in probably late junior high or early high school, what I could use and borrowing dad's gun or whatever gun I had at the time to get into the game. I loved it and followed a couple of people that early days of YouTube and things like that were shooting long range and always intrigued me. So kind of that's where the addiction started. But I've been with the company here 10 years now. And so it's obviously really grown since then. But before that, I was a machinist doing parts in the black rifle or AR industry. So building parts like that and obviously still doing long range. That's my kind of passion on the side. So a little bit about my background there, but grew up hunting mule deer and mainly just mule deer. And that's still my addiction today is hunting backcountry mule deer essentially. So a lot of big country, wide open stuff, and always had scenarios where, man, I really wish I could shoot that deer, it's like 600 yards. And I thought that was, across the world at the time. So I think that's really where a lot of those, passions have started of trying to be able to shoot better and shoot those kind of ranges, which is a range you can practice at all day long nowadays. So yeah, just, I guess it's a little background on me, but yeah, still addicted to that backcountry stuff and a real gear nut of, it seems like nothing. I mean, I think me and your dad have a lot of the same in yourself of like, nothing's ever good enough, gear, right? It's just like,
I will have to say you are probably the biggest gun nut, gear nut. I'm not sure what the word is to say, but all of it. If you look at your desk, you'll have 3 guns in your holder.
Yeah.
And then the next week, the guns will be reconfigured. Yeah. Like 360. Yeah. And then another gun will show up. And then you definitely are a gun nut there. Yeah. Gear nut. Yeah. 2 things from what you said. 10 years is all.
Mm-hmm. Feels longer, right?
Then it feels like forever ago.
Yeah.
So I was 16 10 years ago. Yeah. Little baby face.
Still baby face.
That is true.
It's all good. You look good.
Shots fired.
Hey, no, look, it's a compliment. Stay young. So
10 years. Wow. Well, cool, man. Mm-hmm. Well, let's go into what's the next thing we need to dive into.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about you too. You as well. Give a little background on yourself. Obviously, you got the last name, so a little bit a part of that. Yeah. But did you? Were you always hunting and everything from day one? Probably.
I think it started probably about 8. We were gifted for Christmas from Santa a little Marlin 22 takedown, like the barrel came off. Mm-hmm. Wasn't one that stuffed in the stock. I don't know what the point of the barrel coming out was, but I got a Marlin 22 and Danner got a 410 break barrel.
Sweet.
So that's when it really I mean, it started before then. We were shooting the Daisy Red Riders and the break barrel pellet guns. And we definitely caused some nuisance in the town of Burlington.
I'm sure.
A couple of sheriff visits for sure. But definitely honed in our, I don't know if it's hunting skills, but definitely our killing skills with those. And then jumped up to the rabbits for sure. I think that's a fun way to start. Me and you have killed a lot of rabbits together.
Yep.
And from there, you know, obviously you start hunting big game in Wyoming, unfortunately at 12 years old.
Yeah.
But at 11, we went to a Texas shooting school, and Dan and I shot our first big game animals, a blacktail. No, wait. What's the...
Black buck?
Black buck, yeah, not a blacktail, black buck. And then a mouflon. So
Cool.
the addiction started at 11. 12, 13, I mean, we were killing everything we could. I think the first year, Danner and I, when we were 12, we drew almost every tag you could draw in Wyoming.
I remember that.
Antelope,
Remember.
mule deer, whitetail, elk, everything.
Yeah.
I broke my femur, so the only thing I killed was a whitetail that year. Danner killed everything else. That was the year Danner killed his 1,376 yard bull.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And kind of I think I really put Gunwerks on the map on the YouTube side of things. Was that
12-year-old wallops
Yeah.
hole at 1,376 yards. Yeah.
It was awesome.
From there, you know, school kind of got heavy and did a mule deer hunt and ibex. But other than that, like, I didn't really hunt too much throughout high school. Where it really started picking up was the last couple of years. Going on a couple of these reserve trips to Africa, and then, man, I really have an addiction for traveling international and hunting international. I think it's something different about it compared to the Western hunting.
Yeah.
I think not having to deal with other people is a big deal.
True. Yeah.
I think that's maybe one of the things that I'm attracted to, but I've killed a lot of shit in the last 3 years. That's for sure.
For sure.
I've prepped a lot of guns. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what this podcast is about, is prepping for hunts. So earlier on, and we could tell a horror story about 2016 Africa, prepping for that hunt. That was the first hunt that I had touched the rifle before the hunt, and it scarred me for life. We got to Africa, and one of the screws was too long in the front base, and the scope rail was loose and jiggling. And I mean, my dad's on the hunt. You'd think we would have been able to figure it out, but we learned so much on that hunt. Rear bag. That's why we have the rear bag that connects to the stock now.
Yeah.
Because Danner and I had we used to have the little camo.
Little Holland bag.
Holland bag, yep. Great bag. Unfortunately, too easy to leave in the truck or behind or in your last shooting location.
Yep.
But we definitely got our asses chewed one too many times, and then voila, here's this rear bag that connects to your stock and you never have to leave it. That is the same reason why there's a string on our scope coat. So you can tie it to your scope, and then you never not have a scope coat.
Yeah. Smart.
And that is the reason why for a while we had color-coded screws. And that is the reason why for about 5 years I never touched the gun before the hunt. It was always someone else's job. So that's probably the only horror story that I have setting up a gun.
I do remember that. I was down with Garrett somewhere. And he's like, "Hey, you're the words that were in this message and stuff of how the trip was going. It's pretty rough, but
we still had an amazing trip though."
Yeah, I remember that. You guys coming back saying, "Oh, it was awesome," but we had this one thing that
it was one that turned into 10.
Yeah,
it was like we had some hot ammo over there.
Oh shoot,
it was not good. But
a few things.
That is the nice thing about you guys is you get to learn from our mistakes.
Yeah,
that is the nice thing.
Exactly. Yeah, I'll say that's not the first hunt that we've heard of like coming back and, oh, this is totally not going to work. We need to fix this. Especially like prototypes and stuff. And I'm sure we'll cover a lot of that stuff. But we got to go test this stuff, and you get out there and could totally screw you, or this is ridiculous.
Wow, yeah. Grip angles and
retained
stock angles. Yep.
Yeah, stuff will see 100 iterations before the customer will, and so it's fun and exciting, but can be a bit of a pain too. But it's a good time.
Well, I think before we jump into how you prep for your hunts and how I prep, I think prepping for a hunt starts before even touching the rifle. So the knowledge that you obtain, however you do that, whether it's Gunwerks YouTube videos or the Long Range University, coming out and learning there. It's the knowledge you obtain as well as the gear that you take with you.
Yeah.
So let's start with what's in your range bag, or if you have a drag bag, whatever they call it, or what do you pack in your gun case when you go on a trip?
Yeah.
What's your must-haves? What's your if you have okay, we're going to go mule deer hunting, I take this.
Yeah.
Or different for this hunt.
Yep. Totally. Because like you said, for the type of stuff I do out here west, I can essentially hunt, say, elk, antelope, deer, about all the same, so my gear list doesn't change too much. Maybe caliber or something like that would be the slight change is all, from elk or deer. But a lot of the times I'm using just a 7 of some sort. So we can usually cover both pretty easy. But yeah, like a toolkit, be able to adjust scopes, tighten scope rings, rails, bottom metal, check all that stuff. If I need to pull a gun apart, clean it, see if make sure there's no contact or something like that. I'll do that.
We kind of call these kits oh shit kits.
Yeah.
Like it's not something you hope to do in the field.
Exactly. Yep.
So you've got a work kit in your case, just that little tool bag that we sell.
Yep.
It's got a couple bits in it.
Just enough. Covers all the stuff. Like it's nice because a lot of our stuff uses the same screw size or the same, head size, whatever. So I got the right Torx heads. So yeah, I've got that in there. Cleaning rod if I need to, and usually I usually have obviously some cleaning supplies, real small, basics there. But mainly that's there in case I need to push something out of the barrel. I stick my barrel in the dirt, or I get a bullet that gets stuck in the chamber or something weird.
The brass gets stuck.
Yeah, something like that. So I've got that there.
We don't really have a good cleaning kit right now as a company.
Yeah.
But I am trying to assemble a nice little travel.
Yeah.
Again, what's going on? I'm in a good example. Tajikistan, a guy was there. I'm like, hey, did you take your cleaning kit?
Yeah.
What? No. Do you think you can find any cleaning solvents? No, I cannot.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get a nice little kit assembled for us that we can throw in the case, throw on the bottom of your pack.
Perfect. Yep. Need to have something like that. It's always in the truck, where I carry more gear. So I've got it there.
Yeah.
But yeah, on the hunt, something small like that for cleaning wise. I still carry my chronograph. Something like a Garmin. This thing's tiny, fits in the case.
It's so tiny. Like, why would you?
I would dare take it on a hunt.
It's so light and tiny. Yeah. I don't know about taking it far back in the backcountry, but it's making it to base camp for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yep. No, I'm with you. Always got a tripod and a spotting scope. Let's see.
Optics wise, are you running what's your backup of your backups?
Yeah, so I've got I've got our.
You're running. What scope do you like running?
For spotting scope or rifle scope?
Rifle scope.
So rifle scope. I've got a, as you know,
mix of everything.
I got a mix of everything. So I get a little bit of each.
Not really. I don't see you using a radical.
I have one.
You do?
I have one on a match gun. So I've used that one in a match or two. I'll use the display sometimes. I love that scope just because I can go back and forth.
Yeah.
This stage I could use it for this, and this stage I may not even use it. It's just not working that stage. So no, it's awesome. So yeah,
mainly your hunting rifles are using non-smart.
Yeah, non-smart.
Okay, so ballistic turret.
Yeah, ballistic turret.
Running binos.
BR4 binos, but most of the time it's a BR4.
Okay, so you're running some swirl binos.
Yep, swirl binos. Big country that I'm usually hunting, so I need glass really far away, and so if we had those binos and on higher power, it would be totally my option.
You can't take 2 sets of binos.
Correct.
It's
So
a lot of weight.
Yep. So I pick that, and it's usually I find something from far. Okay,
Do you have,
this ridge.
are you burning a turret for your specific elevation and stuff?
I don't on that. So I still run the BR4 with the, so obviously it's calculating for the elevation and everything, but, yeah, I run that. I always run a yardage turret still this day. And I mean, I'm always changing loads and screwing with that and whatever. Even if that turret is not exactly for that load, like out to 400 yards, for that quick, like I need to make a hurry, fast shot, it's still going to be accurate. But for the most part, I don't change a whole ton on my main hunting gun. That's my one gun I don't screw with.
You actually have a gun that you don't touch.
Kind of. The barreled action stays together. Let's say that.
Okay.
But yes, like stock wise, it'll be one or two stocks depending on what one I'm going with. But yeah, and then the suppressor and that scope. So, but the load that I come with that one is kind of my standard, and I don't change that. So
Gotcha. So you don't really have, you have the BR4. What's your backup if your BR4?
BR4. I mean, for ballistics wise, it could be my phone or a Kestrel.
Okay.
I mean, I'll have one. Like I'll always have. I have our old BR 2500 in the truck, and that is
okay. Going back to the truck, grab it.
Yeah, that's worst case scenario. Like if I'm 10 miles from the truck, it really sucks.
That would freaking scare me, bro.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I got the Radical.
Yeah.
I got a BDR ring on the Radical. And I'm like, okay, if that dies, okay, I got a set of binos and he's going to tell me the dope.
Yeah.
Okay, if that dies, I got a BR4.
Well,
yeah. And if that dies, then I have my phone.
Yeah.
And if that dies, I might as well just go home.
It's true. For you, it makes sense to have that many backups because you could be in BFE.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm 10 miles from our truck. Like, yeah, it would suck.
BFE for me.
I mean, yeah, it would suck, but okay, I burn half a day down and back to go grab a rangefinder if I needed to.
You have the knowledge though that you don't really need that backup.
No.
Like you just do some quick math in your head.
Yeah.
Or get closer.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, and that's where it comes to another piece of the gear I would look at is like getting familiar with your mapping system. Like if I was in a hunt, rangefinder died, I could pull up my Onyx or Go Hunt, whatever you're using, drop a pin from me to the closest tree to that deer. You're going to be within 10 or 15 yards, and that's going to get something killed.
Okay.
So I
didn't even think about that.
So that's like my backup of a backup. It's a worst case scenario. So there's so many things, so many tools nowadays that are really nice. So yeah, if I was in your case, hey, I just spent all this money, flew to Tajik or wherever I'm going. Yeah, I'm going to probably have 3 or 4 rangefinders or something like that.
I'm going to make sure my buddy's got a rangefinder.
Yeah. Usually if I'm hunting with my wife, like she's usually on those backcountry hunts with me. And so she's got a pair of my old Zeiss rangefinder binos. And that's okay, if all goes, south, she's got those. But if I'm by myself, I've got just the one rangefinder and then one of the truck. So
plus your Kestrel.
Yep. Plus the Kestrel.
You have a PhD then if you know how to run a Kestrel.
Yeah.
Because, dude, when I open one of those things, I'm like, what in the F?
Yeah.
Because I don't even know how to calculate a wind on the smart Kestrel.
It takes a lot. I don't know how guys use it in a hunting scenario. Like I use it just for the wind function for primary stuff, right?
Yeah.
But in a hunt, if I range something, needed to pull that out. And I get it. If it's all I used, I could get faster, but still it's like there is time lost.
I want the $70 Kestrel.
Yeah.
It tells me one thing. Yeah. Well, it shows one thing there. It will tell me the temperature and stuff, but I just want to know the wind speed. That's it.
Yep. No, keep it simple. I'm definitely about that. Just simple, stupid. Don't take too much gear. Obviously, I can't pack all the gear that I, would have. It may be at the truck, as backups like we talked about. But just simple, stupid stuff.
Do you use a sling at all?
I'm 50-50.
50-50.
I probably...
Do you, if you're not using it, is it in your backpack or something?
Just in the truck.
Okay.
I'm usually a strap it to the back of my pack guy.
Okay.
I never am in a moment where I'm like, I need this on my shoulder in case I jump something. Like,
sure.
If I jump something, like, it's going to have to be really big for me to be like, okay, like I should have had a sling for that time.
Gotcha.
I can be pretty quick on buckle here.
Yep.
Guns off, and ready to shoot. So I don't run a sling. I've it snags on too many things, grabs on who knows what. I used to run my bag attached to my sling. Just like the sling would go through a loop on the bag, and so it was attached to my gun. But now that we have that attachment point on there, it saves all that issue.
Yeah.
One thing, let's see. I've got one thing that I spend the most time with that I think a lot of people, and I don't know if we're skipping ahead too much of what we kind of were wanting to talk about, but like I use a piece of gear is the all-in spotting scope.
Okay.
Phone adapter.
Yep.
Or any of them. I mean, there's any of them, but that one in particular is my go-to. So if anybody's asking or wondering what that is, obviously digiscoping, putting your phone on the spotting scope so you can see what you're looking at or record what you want to see, things like that. So I use that in my range bag every time I go to the range.
Okay.
And if I go to the range and I've forgotten my spotting scope with my like all-in mount, I literally will turn around and go back home, make sure I haven't come back.
Yeah, if you're running solo, it's
yeah.
How are you going to shoot 600 yards if you're missing it's just going to be frustrating.
Totally. And maybe that's another thing we talk about here in prepping too, is like your, shooting positions and stuff and bags and whatever. But before we get into that, it's just, if I go to the range to practice or to check some data before hunts, and this is, like I said, anytime I go shooting, I have that there. I'm taking video, seeing the impacts, but I'm talking to myself the entire time. And so I can go back and watch that video and see, okay, I hit here and here, but like, if I don't talk about what happened, I get back to the, like, man, why was that not lining up? Or
you got
just seeing here
notes there.
Exactly. It's just a way to keep notes without having to write it down. So I just I'm always got that, and I go back, oh, I was a half minute low because I forgot to change this, or something, right? Yeah. So I do that a lot. So my phone's full of just random videos that I'll, hardly ever use again, but in the times that it's really saved my butt, that's why I do that. But hunting wise, same thing. I will literally not shoot an animal if I can't get it on video. I mean, that's just me.
I'm kind of the same way.
Yeah.
A little bit. I don't know if it's the same reason. What is your reason?
My reason is like, I want to, that's selfishly, I just want to be able to review the footage. Like, I feel confident I'm not going to set myself up in a position where I'm not going to see the impact. Because I mean, most of the shots that are happening for the type of hunting I do, 400 yards is close.
Yeah.
So it's in that 400 to 1,000 yards where I could be shooting. And so I've got a little bit of time of flight of that bullet getting there to get back on target under recoil. And I'm not running anything giant. And if I am, it's heavy as can be to help mitigate recoil. So, I guess I can roll in a little bit of that for like hunt prep on the, on shooting. I think it's heavily overlooked of trying to make sure you see your impact on every shot. There's a lot of guys that'll go out and just shoot paper, 100 yards, which is good, obviously, but get out to, get to those little closer ranges where that bullet's getting there quick, that I still want to be able to see those impacts. So like 400 yards, 350, depending on the caliber, you should be able to see those impacts on.
Yeah. With enough practice.
All of them, with enough practice. Yeah.
So, and they're right.
Yep. Yeah. With the right rear bag, like our Gunwerks large bag, I almost wish we named them Gunwerks small bag and Gunwerks mini bag. Just because that large, it's like the perfect size for everything. And it's not big and it's not heavy, so that's like my go-to bag.
You're saying the large kind of turns a couple guys off.
Exactly. People that are wondering, if they look at our bags, they see small and large, they're like, oh, well, I need a small one for my hunt. Yeah, that's the one I'm going to take on my 10-mile deep trips, the little small bag, which is roughly.
That's the one that I run.
Yeah. So there's just times where I've been like, man, I'm limited. I use the old Holland bag, which is really close to the same size. And there was times where I'm like, man, I need more bag in the back. But that's the big thing, is just, I want to be able to see that impact on target. So I'm willing to pack a little bit bigger rear bag for that. And then a lot of bipod shooting, figuring out, okay, I need to make sure I don't have too much pressure on one leg over the other, or it kicks me left or right.
Yeah.
I need to make sure before I shoot, I kind of do a press check, I call it. And it's just I'm pushing that bipod forward and backward and seeing that it rides straight. Yep. And that will make sure that when I pull the trigger, it's, my reticle's right back on target or within a couple minutes of the target. So anyhow, that's a few things there that I really preach on to go over.
Well, I feel like our list is pretty close to the same. Cleaning kit.
Yep.
Ward kit. Bipod, rear bag.
Yep.
I definitely I make sure I have a sling at all times. If it's not on the gun, you'll probably never see me with a gun that doesn't have the rear bag connected to it, the sling and a bipod.
Yeah.
If it is, then I forgot to take it on the trip, and I'm getting my eyes chewed.
Yeah. For me, why do you take a sling? Why is a sling a big thing for you? Maybe I'm missing something.
You know, a lot of the trips, let's just say Africa, for instance, like Africa's a really nice hunt. There is some hiking involved. This year I hiked my freaking balls off, but there is some scenarios where you might step away from the truck thinking you're going to walk 50 yards when you end up walking 1,000.
And no pack, right?
Yeah, no pack.
Just yourself. Okay.
Just yourself.
Makes sense.
And it gets very tiresome holding that rifle to your side.
I got you.
You start holding it over your shoulder, which is probably not the safest thing to do. You're probably flagging a lot of people. I'm trying to think, other than Africa, is there a scenario? I'm the same way. I'm always strapped to the pack.
Yeah.
I'll probably never like roll it on the shoulder unless maybe we're coming over the berm or walking up to an animal, something like that.
I got you.
It's a nice little piece of equipment. Ours is a little on the heavy side. I think we should come up with a little lighter one, but it's so light that it's worth throwing in the pack just for that 1 out of 100 time that you're like, I wish I should have had a sling.
Sure. Oh, that makes sense. Totally. For that type of hunting, I would do the same thing. That would make sense to have a sling, not knowing how far you're going to hike from the truck. I guess it would feel really, really weird to not have a pack.
It is very weird, actually.
But like kind of nice, right? So that's cool.
What gear do you think a guy forgets to train with that he probably should be training with?
Man, I would come back to that spotting scope.
Okay.
Running a spotting scope with a phone mounted to it. Because, I mean, I can't tell you how many times guys come to class, lucky enough to be able to go spend a lot of time with customers, people out there at the range. So I can kind of see, okay, hey, maybe we need to change this. Once again, I'm always just trying to make stuff better. And, hey, we need to change this because every guy that I see gets behind this struggles with this or whatever, right? But the spotting scope being a big one, you get that phone mounted on there or just trying to find a target in general through the spotting scope. And it only comes from using it over time. There's no gadget you can buy that will fix finding a target with your spotting scope on the hillside quickly.
Yeah.
So to me, that would be a big one. It's just like, and that's just for me, I go to the range all the time and I have that spotting scope with me. Okay, what target am I going to? Oh, there's this little tiny one up on this little hillside, and it's just muscle memory of pointing that spotting scope up there and it's on target. I'm ready to go. And so I can find the target quickly and see, oh, hey, is that what I want to shoot? So like for me, it's like, early mornings and late evenings is when those big deer are moving. And so I need to find them quick before they hit timberline, or they're just coming out before dark. I need to see if they're worth anything. So I think that's a big one for me, would be just getting really familiar with your spotting scope, tripod system, to where you're really efficient, to where, you find them with your binos, you put it down and it's like, okay, this is the hard part, is just finding them really quick. With your spotting scope after, it's oh shoot, where'd he go? And he's 3 steps behind a tree and you lose him, and then you're pulling your binos up and looking again, and then, they're gone. So that would be a big one for me, I would say.
That's some really good insight. It wasn't on my list. I totally missed the spotter and the Olin, even though it is something I take every time. It wasn't on that list that I made for this podcast. I would say for me, it's the rear bag. I feel like that's a piece of equipment that's a good one. Is very underutilized.
I'm glad you said that.
Rear bag and bipod.
Yeah,
probably.
That's a really good one. If you ever sat with me down in class, like in Burlington, like I'm sure the instructors, Brian and Jeremy right now, are probably like, oh yeah, here he goes. I'm a huge guy on the rear bag, of how that bag's, how you use it, especially like our large bag that I'm talking about, of essentially where you can force that rear stock to stay straight in recoil, of how you hold it. And so, yeah, I'm huge. I'm glad you said that, because rear bags are heavily overlooked or heavily not used properly, right? Just thrown underneath the tail end and squeeze the side of it to the height you want, pull a trigger. I was guilty of it in the day, but it's like, man, there's an art to it.
Yep, art. That's a good way to put it. There's an art to it. Yep. I think sooner or later we're going to start doing some podcasts where we do some like shot reviews.
Okay.
And one of the one that's like really poking out is I didn't go on the hunt. It was my dad and Mike.
Mm-hmm.
They're hunting coos deer, and I'm pretty sure it's a really long shot, and the rear bag, it was too far forward, and when he shot, he had too much cheek pressure because he was looking up.
Yep.
And it was kind of like a cantilever.
Yep.
The shot over the coos deer.
Yep.
So.
And you got video of it and all that stuff.
Yeah,
I'm sure. Yep. There's so many of those little small things that we cover in class. Obviously we can't get everybody up here to the class as much as we'd love to.
Yeah.
So yeah, having a podcast to cover it, that would be really awesome. So
you see a lot of guys they use their left hand, no bag, and they do this like basic thing where I'm just like, wow.
Yeah. It's amazing stuff gets shot for what it seems like.
Yeah.
You feel bad for the animal at that point.
Well, we kind of went over gear.
Yeah.
So let's go into your process.
Okay.
Let's go 0 to 100. I know it doesn't happen for you, but let's just say you get a gun. It's in a case.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Mm-hmm. Start to finish. I mean, like obviously the easy button for anybody obviously is we're doing. I mean, I'll cover over what we're essentially doing for a customer too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, that gun from our guys, order comes in the door. We build that gun. It goes to the range. Same with me. If I'm getting a new gun, I'm going to do some sort of a break-in process, and we don't need to do a really hardcore break-in process on a premium barrel, especially like ours. We're essentially just smoothing out any small differences there is on a good barrel. We don't really need to. So I'll get the gun broken in, a few groups. I'm going to see right away that this gun shoots. Okay. Making sure the ammo's tuned right. So like I said, our stuff's already all tuned to our chamber. So it makes my initial setup pretty dang easy because I like to load myself, like, just essentially having that. I can go back on the shelf and pick it off the shelf if I'm in a pinch. I do that a lot. But if I can load it myself, I keep plenty of components and stuff at home, so I will. But once I got that rifle, essentially zeroed, a little bit of break-in done, loads tuned for it.
So you're doing the break-in, or are we doing the break-in?
I've usually been doing mine.
So
sorry.
So out of the tunnel here, they're doing a break-in there. You're gonna grab it. You're gonna do a little bit.
Oh, on top of it.
Yeah.
No. So if of that's sorry.
You're pulling your gun before it goes into the range.
Usually.
Okay.
Yeah. So it'll get finished, and then I'll just say, hey, I'll do that work or whatever. You can knock out a ball again before mine, type of deal.
So basically, you're doing exactly what the guys are doing for the customer.
Exactly. So I'll go through that, get that part knocked out. I may do a little check on the fitment of like scope. Hey, is this sitting where my eye is?
Yep. A little fine tuning there.
Yeah, it's obviously we cover that with a client of like, hey, how tall are you, and getting fit, and all that.
Try to as best as
Yeah,
can. We can't tell their facial structure. Or
you're right. So I'll cover a lot of that, and if we need to, have a guy adjust it forward or backward, we've been pretty dang good at it, I think. So, once I get that kind of fitment right for me, I'm headed to the range to do my long range data. I've really tried to change my tune. I used to be, and it probably just came from just trying to save cost on ammo. It was, I'd go to the range and shoot a 3 or maybe a 5-shot group at 100 and say, okay, yeah, I'm good. I'm zeroed. I've really tried to up that or double it, 10 to 15 rounds on a 0.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll try to do that over a day or two. And I'm just like, luckily at Burlington Range there, I can go there if I'm doing class. I can go out there in the morning before anybody shows up, shoot 5 or 6 rounds, put it away, and then the next day go out there and shoot another 5 or 6 rounds. And I want to make sure that thing stays zeroed, cold bore, right, to hot bore, things like that. So once I've got that established, I'm going out to distance, and I do the same thing and honestly, I skip straight to the long stuff. I'll go right to, I go from 0, 100 yards. I'm gathering velocities along the way, of course, with that Garmin, and I'll go straight to 1,000, and I'm doing drop data. So, and I'll do that same thing, 15 to 20 rounds easily on a piece of steel, just fine tuning. Okay, do I need to come up a click or down a click, here and there till I find, okay, this is plumb line, it's good. And then that's my data, and I'll true it, get myself a turret made and cut, right? So once again, our systems we have nowadays, it's not like what it used to be, right? Like I had to go do all that and it was taking me a week or two to get this gun perfectly tuned.
Yeah.
But now it's like all of our barrels are the same. All of our chambers are the same. Oh, what load are we shooting in there? Perfect. I'll just go make that same load and walk out to the range and I'm within a click at 1,000 and that's as good as it's going to get. So that was probably my, quick little run through of, okay.
So you're going to get the gun.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just skip the step about you breaking it in and checking to shoot it. So the gun shoots and it's broken in.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to do some fitment checking. You're going to make sure the length of pull's right. You're going to make sure your eye box is in the right spot. Make sure your scope doesn't need to go forward or come back. And then you're going to do a couple zero testing.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to shoot some groups. You said,
I do also do 5-shot groups, but I like to do at least three or four of those groups each day.
Okay, so you're gonna shoot one day. You're gonna shoot a group. Are you gonna let it cool completely and then shoot like in the afternoon?
Yeah, maybe like at lunch or something.
Okay,
so I'll just shoot, let it cool at lunch. Shoot another group. If I get another group, day, then great. And I'm essentially like, and this is what's cool. If we've got this all figured out with like speeds and stuff, because there's some barrels, 25 feet a second, they may speed up from say around 0 to 100, right? So it's a small amount. You can see it at 1,200 yards, but for most of your stuff, we've taken care of and accounted for that when we put this gun together for you. So like for me, I'm just essentially shooting that gun and getting that process taken care of. So once I go hunting, and that's just it. Like I've got guys that literally are pulling these guns out of the case, going straight on a hunt, and that'll work, right? But as you shoot that gun, it may slightly speed up a little bit, and it's gonna essentially, like I said, we've tuned it or we've set our turrets to match up with that once the gun's broken in. So like, I would say go shoot your gun, get 100 rounds in that thing quick. If you've picked up a gun and go get really familiar with it if you can, right? But just know that out of the box, it's gonna be killing stuff easily out to 1,000. So, so quick and dirty, I guess, there on that. But
so you're going to check your zeros over a couple days, and then you're just going to go long bomb 1,000 yards at the Gunwerks range or wherever you're at. And then you're going to tune your profile, and then you're going to get a turret made for that. Okay.
Yeah. And each usually, like if I do the truing at the long stuff, the bullets that we use and things like that. The mid-range, I really don't have to test it, but I still do. I'll come back and check a few rounds of that 500 or 600 yard range, and it's right in there every single time. So I usually don't even check it for the most part. But I get a turret cut. Then I've got that kind of, the bones of it, right? And like I said, I'm always changing this or changing that or trying something new. So I don't. So I try not to change the kind of the main part of the load. The barrel, obviously, and then the scope, that part kind of stays, but I may, let's try this suppressor, or let's try this, let's try this scope or things like that. So that'd be the only time I'd slightly change it. So
when's the moment that you're like, okay, she's ready. Let me put her in the case until it's time to go, or...
Glad you said that. So I'll do that same thing at the range. We do, and I think it was Jeremy that had told me this, or he started doing it years ago, was you go out there and you have one shot one day, and you only have, every day you have one shot, and that's all you can make. So it's essentially, it's forcing you to, I get out there and look at the wind, look at my conditions, just like I would be on a hunt.
Focus on everything, sag position.
Yep. So go through all my checklist, and I literally have one shot that I get to make there in the morning. We have that one little plate that's 10 inches at 980 or whatever it is down there at the Burlington range. And every morning I go out there, I would do that. I would just, I got one shot here at this plate, cold bore, everything, missed my wind call. All right, tomorrow.
Well, that wasn't the gun.
Yeah, right. So it's like, you're obviously like data-wise, you're good. I'm like, okay, missed my wind call, I got tomorrow. But it's like along that way, I'm checking, okay, yep, I was low or I was high. Then I'll make, I'll check stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
And I note I usually keep mental notes. It's happening within a week. I'll be like, okay, well, Monday and Tuesday, I was a little low. I was about a quarter minute low. And so I'll just know I'll add a quarter minute the next day, and I shoot. Okay, yeah, now I'm on, elevation's perfect. Maybe I missed my wind call or hit the plate, and I can see that. So that's essentially just finding that cold bore if there is one on that gun, and at 1,000 yards, a quarter minute shift is super tiny, and that's what we expect out of our guns. But I've seen others out there that are moving a full minute, from first shot to second shot. It's a full minute change, which is crazy. But I've never had one move more than a quarter minute from cold bore to second shot. But essentially, I'm just making a baseline knowing, okay, I may adjust my profile if I need to.
We've kind of touched the cold bore. What is a cold bore for the listeners?
Yep. So cold bore is just, I haven't shot the gun in say 2 days.
The gun's in like a rested state.
Rested state.
Cold. Yeah.
Whatever the temperature is. Yeah. Whatever the temperature is, it's just hanging out. And that first shot, between the first shot and second shot, obviously you've got a barrel that's cool and, acclimated to the second shot. It's had some temperature kicked into it for sure. Inside, you may not feel it outside the barrel, but it's already changing inside. And so you can see that round lie, land in a different spot at longer ranges. Just as that heat, the heat goes into the steel. So, like I had a gun back here not too long ago. It was my big 28 Nosler had set up. It shoots, consistently shoots 15 feet a second faster on the first shot. And I can look at all the data points that I've taken. The first shot was 15 feet fast, and I would just see it. And before I started doing that, I would see stuff where it shot high on the first shot, and I thought, oh, it's cold bore, because of the heat in the steel. But this was strictly a speed difference. 15 feet a second at that range to put me that much higher. And so I could see that on the chronograph. So it may not be the steel. It may just be literally, hey, this first round, for whatever, the bullet going down the barrel, it's going to be 15 feet faster because maybe like it's, tighter, creating more pressure, things like that. So it may not be an actual, my barrel's moving thing. It's just a velocity change. So
I feel like cold bore is not something we have to worry about recently. Back in the day,
oh man, it was
LR 1000 days.
Yeah, totally.
For sure. Cold bore, like there was this mapping.
Yeah.
If we were having this discussion 10, 15 years ago, it'd be completely different. Like, okay, everything's focused on cold bore. Where is that cold bore shot? Yeah. Where's the zero on a cold bore, which makes it so much harder. But I feel like, and I only shoot little guns. I don't shoot big. I was going to throw some people underneath the bus, but 300s and
you can throw me in there. I got a 338. So
well, that's different. Yours is different.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like the bigger ones are probably more susceptible to it.
Yeah, they are. For sure. They for sure are. Yeah, like all my match guns, small stuff,
I've never seen a cold bore.
Yeah.
In like the last 5 something years.
That's the big thing.
Maybe I don't shoot good enough to see it.
No, it's definitely true. No, it is. Like, I mean, me and I'll throw Chris out there. Me and him are kind of the two big shooters, and shoot a lot of matches and stuff over the years. And we can see that we're barrels are getting better and better. Obviously now that we have them in house for the last few years, we've been able to control that. So I think that's the big part is, we get a barrel from who knows where, what did the barrel look like that day? Was it a Friday when they made that barrel or was it a Monday when they did that barrel, right? Yeah. So you get those different changes, but now stuff's just so, smooth and consistent. It's pretty nice. So.
Well, I like your process. I might steal a few things from you. For sure the Olin, but that's not something that I actually do every time. I do when I'm hunting, I have it with me, but like it makes sense to take one to the range, especially when I'm shooting solo a lot of the time. So I'm going to steal that from you.
Cool.
Let me go quickly over the way that I kind of prep for a hunt. It's very similar, very similar to you, just a little bit different. We're going to add the radical into the mix.
Yeah.
So there's one more variable that you have to check. But
like
let's just say out of the box, I'm going to grab a radical scoped rifle, and it's already gone through the process. I know it shoots. It's already broke in. So the first thing I'm going to do, it's going to be cleaned when it comes from the guys. So I'm going to run a piece of paper out there at 100, and I'm just going to start punching holes. And I've got my chronograph out, and I'm just kind of making a mental note of, okay, fouled shot, or a fouler shot, I mean. So a cleaned rifle, it's got the solvents in the barrel.
Yeah.
What does the gun do? So I'm like, okay, the velocities do such and such.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to map that, put it in the back of my head. I'm going to shoot some groups, and I can't shoot good enough at 100 that I'm just going to punch 5-10 shots.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, 3 shots, good. Maybe fine tune a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna let the gun cool. I'm going to then shoot like a series of zeros over like a day. Maybe I'll shoot 10 in a day, every hour or something.
Yeah.
Not exactly a cold bore.
Yeah.
But it's like,
it's enough time elapsed that it's should be really close.
So I am gonna do the same thing, not shooting groups, but I am just shooting like, okay, high, next dot, low, and I'm just getting an average there. And usually that's a pretty easy series. And then I have to do a zero angle and the radical. So I'm going to plug in all the information there, shoot the zero angle over. And then first thing I'm going to do from there is take it to about 80% of like my max range, whatever that max is. So it's usually 600 to 800 yards.
Yeah.
And I'm going to shoot a nice group, hunting scenario type, boom, maybe 20 seconds, boom, 20 seconds, boom.
Okay.
And depending on if it's shooting high or low, just like you did, I'm going to fine tune. It sounds like you're fine tuning a little bit farther than I am, though.
Yeah.
So I'm going to true the profile, and how we're truing that, just for the viewers, is through the Revit app. It's very simple.
Super nice.
I'm sure there's a YouTube video on how to do it. But
There is.
plug it in, and then at that point, I have a new profile. Got to resync it over to the scope. And then the first thing I do, by the time I'm done doing the new profile, it's probably cooled off enough. First thing I do is back to 100. I'll shoot 100. And then we have a nice set of still 100 for something, 600, 800, 1,000. Yeah. And I just call it like the walkout method, but I'm just going to go 4, 6, 8,000. Okay, it looked good. Okay, 1,000, 8, 6, 400.
Gotcha.
And I kind of just do that like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
And that's my confidence builder. I think a lot of it is all mental. It's like, when do you know your gun's truly ready?
Yep.
When you basically are in love with it.
Yeah, for sure.
Your mental state with your gun is perfectly happy.
Yeah.
What else do I do? There is some, even though, like I just said, there's no cold bore stuff, I will if I have the time, I will over the next however long it is. Usually I'm not prepping too far ahead of a hunt, but like I'll shoot Saturday morning at 600 yards. I'd try and pick again like the 80%, whatever that max distance range is. Yep. And check the cold bore there. You were checking cold bore at
1,000.
1,000. Yeah. Okay. So,
yeah. I do it long just to know that, okay, this is the worst it's going to be if it's, throwing me off cold bore. And then, like you said, 80% at 600, 800 is going to should be less than what I'm seeing at 1,000, essentially. Yeah.
So just check the cold bore Saturday morning, and then maybe I'll go shoot it like Wednesday or something, just over a couple days. And it kind of like you were doing that helps to make sure that I'm doing everything perfect. I get 1 shot. Usually I'm actually shooting 3.
Yeah.
So I'm going to shoot over a chrono again, cold bore, map at 600. Okay, first shot, hopefully center. Okay, second shot, was it higher, lower, left, right of the first shot? Third shot, does that corroborate with the second shot or the first shot? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
I don't have anything written down, but it's kind of just like a mental thing.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Does the gun shoot? Does it perform when you need it to perform? And then when I truly know it's ready is I'll do the walkout thing again. And if I hit the lung size target at every distance, done.
Ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's definitely, I get down in the weeds on like, I'm like, man, that wasn't in the middle of the lungs, it was a little low, and I'm like, or whatever it is. Right.
Yeah.
And it kills me. And that's probably why I shoot so dang much out there. It's just like, okay, I just want to make sure the average is in the center, it's not, he's 1 or 2. Right. So you bring up a point that I ran into with a customer just shooting yesterday for most of the day. We were shooting a few of his rifles, and you go to that 100-yard range and you're shooting these groups and stuff, right? And, you know, depending on the gun, right? You know, you'd shoot a group that was pretty dang good here, go to this different gun, and that was a pretty big group. And then it's like, hey, will you check this, you know, like kind of peppering around this, you know, dot. And I hop on there and shoot, and a shot pretty good. Didn't shoot like it wasn't like my best group by any means. I said, you know what, let's just skip this 100 yards. Like it's centered around that dot.
Yeah.
Let's go out distance. We go out, and the first plate was at 5 something, is this tiny little 5-inch plate, like 5 or 6 inch plate.
You're crazy. I always have my guys shoot the big stuff.
Oh yeah. That was all they had out there, right? This is just at the local range here.
Yeah, okay.
And so it was just like, I'm like, hey, there's a little small plate at 5 or something or whatever. And dude, he rang that thing every time.
So I don't know. There's a word for it.
Yeah.
It's called a kill stealing gun. Like,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of times.
Yeah.
The same thing. I can't shoot a group to save my freaking life, dude.
Yeah.
I'll take a gun that you can shoot a half-minute group with, and I'll shoot a minute.
Yeah. Right.
I'm not there to punch teeny little holes at 100. I'm like, okay, is the average of my 100-yard good? Okay, now for sure the thing's just gonna kill still.
Yeah. The big part to me is like, cause I'll get guys that they'll get a new gun from me. They go up the range. It's their first time at the range, and they're shooting. They're like, hey, I'm only shooting like an inch group. And I'm like, man, this gun's way more capable, I promise.
Yeah.
Do this for me. Just get the group close to 100 yards around that dot for you. Go out to 600 or 700 yards and shoot a group for me. And they go out there and they're like, man, I just shot a 7-inch group at 600 yards. And it's like, I mean, yeah, you're shooting consistent all the way out, right? You're shooting a minute group all the way out on that. But then like I've seen a lot of the time they're shooting even smaller groups at range. Like if you were comparing MOA, you shoot an inch and a half MOA, minute and a half group at 100 and shoot a half-inch or half-minute group at 600. And to me, it's that 100 and 200 yard ranges that I've seen a lot of guys struggle because they're just like, and that's just it. Or our minds are so anal that we see that, you know, crosshair in the middle, and we're like, man, it
should have been right in the middle.
Yeah, and then they, you know, either you freak yourself out or something, but you get out to the range and there's going to be movement. The mirage is happening. The reticle's floating around in the target. And it's just going to
a lot more variables.
Yeah, and it just calms your brain down to just know, hey, I can't control that, but I still press the trigger the same, and that you get the results better. So don't spend a ton of time at 100 yards, in my opinion.
I think you and I could pull out a lot of examples. I had a buddy here, Tim Osborne, last week, same thing, 100 yards. I mean, I couldn't shoot the gun. It was an MTX 7 PRC, so a little on the story side. And same thing, group was just like way bigger than it passed in the tunnel.
Yeah.
Like we watched the guys shoot the passing group with it.
They shoot way
bigger out.
All of us.
Yeah. I grabbed the gun. It's a lot bigger group.
Yeah.
He's got the same group size. And I'm like, hey man, don't worry about the 100. Our average zero's money. And I said, just shoot still the rest of the time. And I caught back up with him the next day, and he's like, dude, this thing is killing the still.
Yeah. You couldn't miss. Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. I'm glad we're on the same thing. Cause I've taught that or told guys that for years over the phone. I've spent many days of my life talking on the phone, and that's been a big one to get people to do.
Well, that would be the most ideal way to set up a gun. Now that's for people that have a lot of time, I feel like, on their hands.
Yeah.
And last year I kind of got a mix of everything for a couple hunts. So I went to New Zealand, and beforehand I did the real prep that we just went over, where it was over a 3-week period, and I probably shot way more. I'm not going to say or else my dad's going to kill me, but way more ammo than I should have.
Yeah.
But that gun was just, holy shit, it was shooting good. And at the same time, I was setting up my dad's Nexus for his Africa trip. And the same exact way. So when I went on the hunt, it was good to go. The Nexus was good for my dad. When we came back, the Nexus got put away kind of in our safe. It's just on the wall. But we had an Oklahoma trip, and that was the gun that we took. It sat on the shelf for probably like June to October, so however many months that is.
Yeah.
A long time. Didn't touch it. And I was like, okay, I know that gun shoots. So all I did was I grabbed it. And the process for that was, I don't know what state the barrel is in. My dad may have brought it back from Africa with 60 rounds on it.
Yeah.
He may have cleaned it which is unlikely. But I'll take that gun, I'll clean it, I'll bore scope it. Not a lot of people have a bore scope, but I'll scope it, make sure it is actually clean. And then all I did was I zeroed the gun and we stuck it in the plane and we went to Oklahoma.
Yeah. Perfect.
Like I don't need to go over the whole process again.
Yep. It's already been done once.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the nice part about that is once I've done that, like, and I just did mine here recently with that 7 of mine for bears. So it's like it's knocked out, ready to go for bears right now. And essentially I shouldn't have to touch much up until September, when rifle season rolls in for deer. So yeah, it's kind of a one and done. You shouldn't have to do this truing and fixing and all that
every time.
Every time. So
yeah. I'll take that even farther. So I just got back from Africa on one of these reserve trips with a bunch of guys, and I took a prototype gun with me. And usually the prototype guns, I'm like, hey, a couple months before the hunt, I'll be like, hey, I'm leaving March 1st. I need you to have a gun for me by at least 3 days before, right?
Yeah.
At least 3 days. Let me put it in the case and pack it away,
Yeah.
Get the weights right.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what happened on this last trip was, hey, give me the gun before they got it to me. And I didn't have time to shoot it, but it went through the tunnel here and passed the specs and all that. And all I did was, it felt really weird. But all I did was I threw the gun in the case. I threw enough ammo in there. And when I showed up to Africa, about 4 days in, it was my turn to start hunting. And we went to the range and I kind of went over that process, but in a really quick, like you can't spend a week at the range in Africa.
Yeah, no.
So all I did was I zeroed the rifle, threw my zero angle profile in there, and there's a target. Usually there's some giraffe around the target, but there's a target we have there at 400, and then there's a target at, I think, 1,000 or 995 or something.
Yeah.
And I'll shoot the 400, boom, whack. Okay, good. Okay. 1,000.
Yeah.
Boom. Okay, good. And
you're ready to go.
that's it.
Jeez.
Yeah. It felt so weird, but I'll tell you, it freaking worked. Yeah. We shot some small critters at a long ways away.
Did you?
So that would be taking that to the extreme.
Yeah.
I would not recommend that.
No.
And the only reason why I felt, I didn't feel like 100% doing it, but I felt good enough to do that was because I have the knowledge and I know the system and I know that regimen of what can I get away with and what is ideal, So
yeah. That same example's happened a couple times with some customers, and I'm like, man, you're ballsier than me. So,
yeah.
But it's worked. So yeah, it's
1,000 yards out of the box, man.
It is legit.
I think we say 1,000 yards of the box. Please zero your gun.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
Yeah,
the rest is pretty much taken care of.
Please zero your gun.
Yeah,
and use a BR4.
Yep. You're into that. I don't know if I have any other questions for you. I've learned some stuff for sure. Maybe I'll try a sling. I need to have a sling in case.
Always,
just in case.
I'm gonna work on a lightweight sling. Please, kind of like one of those ones, like just real fucking chintzy,
ticey,
but get the job done.
Yeah, I like it.
Doesn't need any rubber grip on it or none of that stuff.
Nope, I'm with you. Perfect. Cool.
Well, let's. I guess one more thing. So, with our outfitter program, we have a lot of guns out there. Like, for instance, John X, we've got like 10 Nexus over there. So you're kind of doing this thing where you're not taking a gun, where you get a practice and you get confident with it.
Yeah.
How would you say, what would be the best way to show up and build confidence as quick as you can in the rifle?
Like if I was showing up to camp where there's a gun there for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've never been to Africa. Let's just say, hey, I'm gonna say, Mitch, you're coming to Africa with me. You're not bringing a gun.
Yeah.
I've got one there for you.
Yeah.
Okay. What are you mentally thinking? Like, what do I need to do to build confidence in this in the 30 minutes I have?
For sure, I'm going 100 yards. Get that close to me shooting it, right, as the shooter. but I'll probably do that same process. I'm skipping right to the far stuff because I'm
Mhm.
like, this is going to tell me right now how bad it could be, if I'm not doing what I'm, capable of doing. I go out to that 100 yards straight to say 900 or 1,000, shoot some stuff out there if I got some steel. Like Carl's obviously got all the stuff out there, I'm sure, but you get into camp, I'm checking zeros, checking distance. If it's like, I should be able to see right off, from that, if I've got all the gear to know, okay, I got the good speed, so I know my velocity is good at range. I've got some guns that have been proven beforehand, so I'm going to feel at least a little more confident that it wasn't like, oh, the gun just showed up to camp for them too, and we're all learning. Those guns there have been worked. They've killed a lot of stuff already. So to me, it's check a zero, check a few rounds at the long stuff, and then, as long as it's really close at the far stuff, everything in the middle, with our system is pretty much slam dunk. That's what I've seen time and time and time again. New customer gets his gun, comes to the range, check 100 yard zero, go straight out to 1,000. Okay, yep, need to do a little small tune here. Everything in the middle the rest of the day is ready to go. So that's essentially what
pretty easy.
It is really easy. We've made it that easy. So confidence-wise, I think would be built that quick that I'd be able to see. You could do a little bit of walkout method like you do. Go 100, 500, and 1,000. I don't see the need to do every couple 100 yards all the way out.
Yeah.
You can do just essentially a start, middle, and finish.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I would say would be my quickest way. You obviously figured it out on your last one.
Yeah, the same thing.
Yeah.
Zero.
Yeah.
Long, middle.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah, that's all I would say for anybody on a hunt like that. And I can't tell you how many guys have called me after and said, oh yeah, I was in hunting camp and my gun took a shit on me, and luckily enough your outfitter had one of your guns there, and that's what I killed the animal with, So it's just like perfect, Can't ask any better than that.
Well, cool. This was a lot of fun. I think we should find another topic to do, and let's do another podcast together.
Yeah, let's do it.
In closing, a few takeaways would be, man, go out and shoot your gun, don't you think?
Yeah.
If you can.
If you can, I'm all about it. Go get some trigger time, get used to it, get the jitters out, get really familiar with your system.
And prep the way you're going to hunt.
Yeah.
Don't go shoot off of a bench.
Yeah.
Go shoot off of a bipod.
Yeah, bipod.
If you think you're going to be shooting off a tripod,
whatever it may be.
practice on a tripod.
Yeah, totally agree.
And I think most importantly, don't overcomplicate it.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep it simple.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, cool.
Thanks, Derek.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
If you like what you're hearing here, please take a second and give us a 5-star rating and a positive review on iTunes or on your favorite podcast app. We appreciate your feedback and suggestions for topics you'd like discussed or questions you want answered on the podcast. You can reach out on Facebook or Instagram or send us an email to podcast@gunwerks.com. Also, be sure and check out our full offering of long-range gear at gunwerks.com. Use promo code LRP for free shipping on any order.